This right next to me is the all-new Suzuki Swift Hybrid. Well, in fact, it isn't all new and it is not a hybrid, as it features a 12-volt lithium-ion battery as well as an integrated starter motor generator. And during the video, I'll explain more on how it all works. And the whole Suzuki Swift Hybrid range starts from $24,490 drive away. So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the new Suzuki Swift range and also run you through some of its shortcomings. But on that note, there are a lot of good things to talk about, so let's get straight into the review. Let's start off with a brief overview. So, like I mentioned, the Swift Hybrid range has a price range from $24,490 climbing up to just under $30,000 for this top specification GXL, which is the model I am featuring in the review. And there is a choice of an automatic CVT as well as a manual for the base model. In addition to that, this is heavily based on the previous petrol-powered Swift that was launched back in 2017. And in regards to the competitors, the new Swift Hybrid is the type of vehicle that competes with the all-new MG3 Hybrid, the Toyota Yaris Hybrid, and finally the Kia Picanto. Right, let's now move on to the design. So the color of this example that I'm featuring is finished off in flame orange metallic, and if you don't like that color, there are 7 other external colors to pick from. And in regards to some of the key features, up the front we've got projector LEDs along with LED DRLs, but you do have incandescent indicators built into the headlights. Down the bottom you'll find a gloss black radiator grille, and looking lower down, additional cladding. You've also got an integrated radar up the front as well. And now moving towards the side view of the new Swift Hybrid. So as you can see, it is 3.8 meters long, and specific to the GOX, you get these 16-inch polished alloy wheels, no high mounted door handles like what was featured on the previous generation. And in addition to the Swift Hybrid Plus and this Hybrid GOX, the Swift receives privacy glass, and also included with the GOX, the Swift receives folding side mirrors. And now moving towards the rear design of the new Swift, you've got partial LED lights, so that means you do get incandescent globes for the indicators and reversing lights. And moving towards the tailgate, there is a hybrid badge, Suzuki Swift badge, and a Suzuki badge in the center. And as always, styling is subjective, so write down your feedback in the comment section below of what you think of the new Swifty design. Okay, moving on to the cabin. So before you climb inside, the new Swift Hybrid features a remote key, which in fact is one of the smallest keys that I've ever held. In addition to that, there's also keyless entry, and finally push power start for the ignition. And if we move on to the design, this is a big step forward in comparison to the previous Suzuki Swift. So there are these nice textures up the top here, and that also runs along the doors. And if we move on to touch points and materials, up the top here, you have scratchy materials, and that also extends on the doors as well. However, you do get soft elbow padding. The steering wheel itself is also leather wrapped. There is no center armrest, and even towards the center, as you would expect, hard, scratchy plastics. And moving on to the comfort features specific to the GOX, this has single zone climate control, and you also get a manual adjustable tilt and reach steering column, and these seats offer plenty of manual adjustment for the front row, and they're both finished off in fabric, and they can also be heated as well. And if we move on to technology, it all runs off this 9-inch touchscreen, and apart from moving one menu to the other side, this is pretty much it. So you've got touch sensitive buttons down below, as well as some physical shortcut buttons on the steering wheel. And if I just run you through the features, if we go into menu, as you can see, the Swift has FM, AM and DAB radio, along with Bluetooth, USB and iPod connectivity, as well as a 4-speaker sound system. There is also wireless Apple CarPlay, and this is what that looks like on the screen, so very well integrated, and it's also full size as well. But it is worth mentioning that Android Auto is wired, and if we go back to the main menu, you've also got inbuilt satellite navigation with 3D mapping, and that's what it looks like on the screen. There's also voice control, which only works when your phone is paired. And finally, if we go back again, we go into the fuel consumption menu, and that will show you things like your current driving status. And there is also a menu for energy flow, and that of course shows you internally what the hybrid system is doing. And if we move on to safety and assistance, if I just flick it into reverse, all Swifts receive a reversing camera, and you also get these guidelines as well as rear parking sensors. And in addition to the GXL, you also get a rear cross traffic alert. But across the Swift range, all models receive autonomous emergency braking. And if we move over to the right hand left-hand side, this car has lane centering along with a lane keeping assistant. So that means this car has the ability to assist and steer itself within its lane. And finally, speed sign recognition and adaptive cruise control that keeps you within distance between your vehicle and the vehicle in front. And if we move over to the center, as you can see, the Swift still retains an analog gauge cluster, but you do get this small screen in the center, and overall it is fairly configurable. And when you press info on the steering wheel, that allows you to cycle through the menus, looking at things like your speed, fuel consumption, an analog clock, motion sensors, torque and power, your parking sensors, power and torque, acceleration and braking, and finally, towards the end, a dedicated hybrid menu showing you what the powertrain is doing. And finally, let's talk about the storage. So where are you going to charge your phone? Well, specific to the GLX, this model grade receives wireless phone charging, and you've also got a single USB-C port, two USB-A ports, and on the left-hand side, a 12-volt socket. And if we look towards the center, there are two small cup holders that can fit small bottles of water. The glove box is a pretty decent size, and this is what it looks like with the manual inside, so pretty spacious. And finally, on the doors, decent door bin storage along with small bottle holders on the side as well. Right, let's now move on to the back seat. So of course this front row seat is set in my driving position, and from what we can see, I've got a decent amount of knee room. Toe room is also pretty good, and headroom is okay as well. And if I just move over to the middle seat, as you can see, knee room is okay, toe room is also okay, and headroom, I've got plenty for someone like me. So I think for a compact car, space back here is very good. But like other compact cars, you don't get mat pockets behind the seats or a center armrest. You do, however, get these small bottle holders in the doors and a single cup holder towards the center. But aside from that, you still get two ISOFIX points on the two outboard seats. And finally, right behind me, there are three top tether points. Okay, let's now move on to the boot. So if I just push this button and lift up the tailgate, as you can see, there is a generous 265 litre boot capacity, which makes this large enough for two carry-on suitcases. And of course, if you want to expand the capacity, you can quite easily drop the second row down, and it does fold in a 60-40-60 split. So if you need to carry a passenger on the right-hand side, on the other side you can fit in a long item, so that's pretty useful to know. It is worth mentioning, however, if you do lift up the bottom section, there is no spare tyre, so that means you get a tyre repair kit, and the Swift Hybrid runs on run flat tyres, and that's why this new generation hybrid version has a bit more capacity in comparison with the previous Suzuki Swift. In addition to that, there is also a light on the left-hand side, along with a shopping bag hook, and in terms of packaging, the lithium-ion battery pack sits underneath the back seats. And on that topic, let's see how the hybrid powertrain works. Let's now move on to the powertrain. So under the bonnet features a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine that is linked with a 12-volt mild hybrid system, along with an automatic CVT transmission. And in regards to specifications, this powertrain produces 81 kilowatts, and all of its power is sent to the front wheels. And the powertrain also gains assistance with a starter generator that produces 2.3 kilowatts and 60 newton meters, and that is used to restart or assist the engine in certain scenarios with a bit more power and punch. And that of course helps with fuel consumption between 3.8 litres to 4 litres per 100, depending if you go for the automatic or the manual. Right, moving on to the driving impression. So first of all, I've got great visibility up the front. There's also good side vision. The wing mirrors are also a good size. And finally, right behind me, great visibility from the rear. So what does the Swift like to drive in hybrid form? So of course you've got a motor generator up the front and a hybrid battery underneath the back seats. And with all that combined, not only you get better fuel consumption, so I've managed to achieve 5.5 litres per 100, and the claimed figure for the automatic versions are 4 litres per 100, and I think overall that is excellent efficiency. And just keep in mind, the petrol-powered MG3 only achieved 7 to 8 litres per 100, and if you wanted to step up to the hybrid, that is an additional $4,000. And keep in mind, the Swift range starts from $24,000, and they all come in hybrid form, and also well equipped in comparison to the MG3, whereas you do need to step up to the Essence to get some of the equipment features that everybody wants. This also has a turning circle radius of around 10 meters, so around the city it is very maneuverable. And in terms of refinement, these are really bad and broken roads, but the Swift seems to be doing a good job tackling all these bumpy and broken road surfaces. I don't really hear that much wind noise in the cabin, but thanks to the body panels being light, you do hear a little bit of groan from the engine But apart from that, for the class, it is pretty composed. And in terms of performance, if I put my foot down, you can hear a little bit of groan from that CVT. It is punchy at lower speeds, but of course, when you get past 60 to 80 kilometers, you do find it starts to puff out around that speed. So with my driving impressions out of the way, let's now wrap up with a verdict. So what is my final verdict on the Suzuki Swift Hybrid? Well, in some areas it does feel outdated. However, combined with that hybrid system and some of the upgrades and some of the other creature comforts that are included, it still stacks up to be a good value proposition. It's fuel efficient, it is affordable, and considering this segment is starting to die off, it is hard these days to find an affordable vehicle. But let me know what you think of my verdict down in the comment section below. And if you gained value from this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next film. Thanks for watching.